Number 5. I hope you all enjoyed that. Now this is the only Dr. Seuss story that's on this list. Green Eggs and Ham is about Sam I Am wanting this character to eat green eggs and ham, but he doesn't like it, and just will not stop until he tries it. And when he eventually tries it, he likes it, and will do all sorts of fun things to do with green eggs and ham while he eats it. I remember reading this book in my middle school days. It was one of my favorite stories. Of course, I also played this in my elementary school days, and that was fun. And while those green eggs and ham stories was fun, the reason why I put this here is that I wanted a Dr. Seuss story to be in the top 5, and from my 13 through 5, I was debating real hard on which ones fit right, while numbers 4 through 1, I put them right where they belong. And now, while those were fun, I also saw an episode of Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide called Reading, where Ned Bigby, played by Devin Werkheiser, forgets to read a book, so he brings along green eggs and ham, and tries to read in front of the class, but everybody was shocked and nobody wanted to hear it. And you can tell where that's going to go from here. And sometime later, I watched the Green Eggs and Ham video special on VHS and see if this voice rings in any familiarity. That's right. Tigger from Winnie the Pooh is voicing this character, Paul Winchell. When this character made that noise, I was like, that's Tigger from Winnie the Pooh. And sure enough, it was Paul Winchell. So, honestly, we can tell that Paul did a great job voicing this character and Tigger. And that's why Green Eggs and Ham is a fun story. I would read this book, watch this special, or even play the game in a car, and wish that you're having a fun time upon a star. Number 4.
The Berenstain Bears Get in a Fight by Stan and Jan Berenstain.
In the Dark didn't make my list, but Get in a Fight did, because my elementary school did have a copy of Get in a Fight that I could play. In the Dark, nope, so I couldn't play it, but I did play this. The story is about brother and sister getting along very nicely until one day they wake up very grumpily, and they just get grumpy, they get mean at each other, and they start yelling and fighting. Eventually, when it starts to rain hard, and they just keep fighting and fighting and fighting, even Father Bear gets involved in the fight. Eventually, Mother Bear stops the fight when she whistles at all three of them, and she tries to calmly say what happened and what caused them to fight, which they don't even know the answer. And the fighting does stop when a rainbow shows up. There are some things I remember about this, like some funny moments, singing songs, playing games, some lines that the character says here, and other characters like the bears and other animals. This was adapted from a book, and there is an episode version of this on VHS, but that's from the old version of the Berenstain Bears, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I am a fan of the PBS Kids version of the Berenstain Bears and this. So I will not get in a fight with this game, but I will get into an agreement. I will get into an agreement, and I'm sure you will as well, that this game is fun to play. Number 3.
Aesop's The Tortoise and the Hare.
This was the very first Living Books game from the Living Books sampler, and boy, this was a great way to start. The story is about the tortoise being slow and the hare being fast. The hare challenges the tortoise to a race to try to help him keep moving, to try to help him get moving. Simon the bird is the narrator, and he explains what's happening in the story as the two of them go on in this big race. The reason why I started doing this on Tuesday is because Tuesday was the 14th anniversary of Planet Sheena Tough Puppy. Like Tough Puppy, a lot of these stories have animals in them. Like the tortoise, the hare, and the bird are all animals. Now, there are some things I want to talk about. First is this funny moment where Simon the bird doesn't watch where he's going, and this happens.
That hare is moving so fast, he's not paying attention to where he's going!
That's a lesson he'll learn, and because of this, you won't see Simon for the rest of page 1, but you will see him later on in the story as he narrates more of the tortoise and the hare. The other thing I want to talk about is this familiar noise. It happens when hare walks up a bridge, wants to go for a swim, and when he hops on tortoise's shell, listen to this familiar noise. Did you hear that? That's Dipsy's bottom sound. Anytime Dipsy sits or falls down, he makes a bottom noise like this. See? That's very familiar. I never knew in a million years that something from Teletubbies would make an appearance in the Living Books game, that being that noise. So, Dipsy, what did you have to say for being on that? Thank you for letting my bottom noise be on here. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Dipsy. Bye-bye. Thank you. Now, as for the tortoise and the hare, this involves being into a fun story, of course, and we learn at the end that the moral of the story is slow and steady wins the race. I have a book of Tigger and Rabbit playing the tortoise and the hare, with Rabbit being the tortoise, Tigger being the hare. And an episode of Barney and Friends did that called First Things First, which I mentioned on here before. Robert placed the hare, the rabbit, and Kim placed the tortoise, while Keisha and Curtis play different characters on there. That was when I learned that the tortoise wins, and the hare learns a lesson of don't eat so fast, because that might slow you down. Overall, this is a fun game, a great story, and it shows you why even the slowest and the steadiness can beat the fastest and unsteadiness in these competitions.